Every month we bring on Oldham County Judge Executive David Voegele to talk with us about what's happening around town. And good morning, Judge.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Good to see you this Friday morning. Like your cowboy hat you got on.
Well, thank you. I like my hat. I have several hats, and I'll be honest and say I'm all hat, no cattle. But
Were you ever in the farming business as a child?
no. I come from a long list of farming people, but
Right.
my dad actually moved off the farm. We had what was called a milk route way back in the day, and but all his brothers and my grandfather, great grandfather, they were all agriculture, all farming. And,
Yeah. Well, that's what this county, go back to the old days. And speaking of old days, 200 years old now, Oldham County.
It's hard to believe. Back in December of 1823, the legislature carved Oldham County out of parts of Jefferson, Henry, and Shelby County. And at that time, actually, the area that's now Trimble County, most of it was also part of Oldham County. Mm-hmm. And they did this in December 1823, and they said, well, on February 1st, 1824, you're operational. So they gave our predecessors about 45-day head start to get their act together. And we have a lot of good history we're going to try to present during the bicentennial about who's lived here, what's happened here.
And the History Center. I think Nancy now is putting out a couple times a week a little bit of hidden history.
Yes, right.
Of Oldham County, different people who have come through the county or who stopped in of historical nature.
Yes, there have been some famous people that grew up here. One, of course, everybody's heard of D.W. Griffith. Mm-hmm. He made a movie that's controversial today. It wasn't at its time, but was a pioneer in the movie making industry. Not many people realize that just down the street here, at the corner of 2nd and Main, it's a county parking lot now. But at one time there was a building that stood there, and it was an ice cream cone place when I came to town. But on the 2nd floor of that building, can't think of his first name went off the top of my head, but Admiral Crowell, who was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at one time, was born in that building.
Wow, that's a neat piece
Admiral
of history.
William Crowell is what it was. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that through the bicentennial period, every organization in our town and church has a history to it, that people will bring out the history of that organization, that church, what has happened, that it's not just the bicentennial being put on by a committee and public officials, but everybody participated in the bicentennial in their own way, in their own organization. Mm-hmm. The Haven Church, the Catholic Church, Baptist churches in town. Everybody has a history. They started somewhere, and the people who are part of those organizations now would probably appreciate learning how did we get to this point.
Yeah, because the county seat used to be in Westport, then it was moved to LaGrange, and there's all kinds, and then of course the History Center is full of rich history artifacts.
Right.
There.
Well, our predecessors had about a 10-year battle over exactly where the courthouse would be located, and they pulled it back and forth between LaGrange and Westport. A vote was taken in, I think, 1837 or 1838, and LaGrange won out by a couple hundred votes. So it came to the courthouse square, where we are now. The square and downtown property was donated by Major William Berry Taylor from the Revolutionary War. And I think he was the nephew of General Zachary Taylor. And Zachary Taylor's father had property in Westport. And so there's a lot. It goes way back, you know.
And this whole year is going to be full of different bicentennial celebratory birthday events.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's going to be things added as we move through the year. But is there anything you can share with us right now of any events coming up?
Well, we're intending to piggyback on some of our already successful events, like obviously Oldham County Day and Arts on the Green. But we're planning for something down at Westport. We'll have something in Crestwood, probably at Maples Park. The committee is trying to put together some events right now. And we do have a little budget that the Samuel Peyton Head Trust is given us $13,000, and I've gotten some other contributions, and others are coming in to help us put on some events. I did have this week, a couple of days ago, 500 challenge coins that were ordered have come in. They're really sharp looking. They're in a little case, and they'll be for sale.
Right.
I hope to just break even on it. We're not trying to make any money, but created a souvenir. We're going to have T-shirts and other things that people are going to be able to get and purchase. So we're putting all that together, and we'll have a big time capsule. It'll be buried in the courthouse lawn. I'm trying to decide if that should be a 100-year time capsule or 200-year time capsule.
Hopefully there's something left in 200 years
I know.
around here. Was there any time capsules left from the original building?
No, they didn't. No one, I guess, thought of a time capsule back in the day.
That's too bad. That would have been great.
100 years ago, the community put a stone on the courthouse property that has a plaque attached to that stone that's been sitting out there for 100 years.
Yeah.
And you could easily walk by it and not notice it, but it did say put there in 1924 by our predecessors. And 1924 doesn't actually sound that far back to me, but it probably does to
it's 100 years ago now.
Right, right.
My mom was born in 1929. Of course, God rest her soul, she's been gone for several years. But
Right.
yeah, it's really not that far back when you think about it. Now, you'd mentioned Schomburg Park down in Westport. Now, that is also under renovation, right? Is there going to be some upgrades made to that?
That's exactly right. Next week, we're expecting a package of supplies and materials to arrive. We're building three new new restrooms there.
Mm-hmm.
Those new restrooms are part of a new pavilion complex that will be built and hopefully finished, in the summer. The pavilion will be 30 feet wide and 70 feet long, so it's a big pavilion. It's sort of on the size of Springs Park in downtown
Nice.
Granger, not quite as big as that one, but it's big, and it has an arching roof, and it looks like it belongs in a park, and we hope to have events there, and I'm sure we will later.
It's a beautiful
in the
place.
year.
I was just down there the other day, and you can sit and watch the barges go by, and it's got a lot
Well,
of
right, and we're putting in some little stands, or it'll have swings on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to sit and swing with your wife, girlfriend, whatever, and right there and overlooking the river. And I did, rewinding it a couple years ago. I had sort of a struggle taking out some trees along the river that a number of people, including me, thought were distractions and unattractive and old.
Right.
They're just wild trees. They were never planted with any thought. They just popped up there, and were falling apart. The other day, somebody said, "Well, we ought to plant some trees there on the boulevard by the river." I said, "Well, not while I'm county chief."
We just took those down.
I just I'd beat my head against the wall getting those down.
Right. So, speaking of parks, too, is there the Wendell Moore Park? That's where the pool is, right? That's being redone.
Right.
And what's the status on that?
The pool will be open on Memorial Day. And,
so it's on schedule. Great.
We're the contractor said he'd be finished by the 1st of May. Well, it's been pushed back now to the day before Memorial Day.
It's still May, though.
You're right. It's going to happen, but the slide is either here or coming in very soon. We've had to buy a new slide because the other slide was not anchored properly. Mm-hmm. Things happen when you get into these building projects or remodeling projects. All of a sudden, something was behind the wall that you didn't know was behind the wall. This slide was not anchored sufficiently enough with the bolts that were holding it down. So we had to take it out and buy a new one. And the fiscal court agreed to buy, I think we've got a 26-foot slide. It's a big slide. It's going to be, we wanted a marker, and we want kids to say, "Hey, I want to ride that slide."
Right, and maybe even some older folks like it.
The slide is coming in pieces and will have to be assembled, and that's going to be, I guess, one of the highlights of the. And we also are making a serious effort to clean up the bathing house. Mm-hmm. going into a place that dirty floors, or you don't like the walls, or
Right.
just not inviting and clean. We're making a big effort to clean that up, so when you go in and to the bathing house, to the restroom, or change your outfit, you'll be in something that is more suitable and enjoyable, and you won't be
Right.
wondering if there's a bug underneath the seat or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. I don't want that. And real quick before we wrap up here, I know a lot of people are wondering, when is the 71 ramps going to be done, and what's the latest on that?
The latest on that is that they're going to be open by the end of March.
Okay.
They said December, mid-December, if you recall,
Right.
and that the thing has been creeping forward. Now it's the end of March, but the end of March was actually the deadline in the contract that the KYTC entered into with the contractor for doing the work.
Yeah.
So we all know that work expands to fill the time available, and so
Yeah, because it appeared they were doing a lot of work for a while, and then it just kind of stopped, and like they moved on to something else and then came back.
well, the people that do this type of work, I'm not in this business, but they have a certain amount of equipment, certain amount of manpower, and they have contracts out there on jobs they're supposed to get done, under what conditions, what
Sure.
weather circumstances, and so they move this around. We call that mobilization, and there's an expense involved in getting equipment to here and there, and flatbed trucks are hauling Caterpillars, and so they're trying to get as many people satisfied by their deadline as they can, and they were ahead of schedule with us, but their schedule, their contract said they didn't have to be finished till the end of March, so apparently they pulled it
moved
off
sources.
and went somewhere else where they had a earlier deadline.
Well, thank you so much for coming in again this morning. And
Well,
is there anything else that we missed that you want to go over?
Well, I can't think of what it is right now. We're just.
I think we covered a lot for what's going on, and we'll have you on again, of course, next month. And now that we're in the bicentennial, we'll be talking to not only you, but other members of the county government as we move throughout this bicentennial year.
Well, Nancy Dahlgren is really the chairman. I'm co-chairman. I wanted to just lend my support, but I can't do everything. And we've got about 25 people on this committee that we're all volunteers that wanted to be part of helping raise our history and celebrate. I don't know how you have a birthday party for 70,000 people, but
well, I know the History Center is going to have a birthday cake for everybody to come sample next Thursday, I believe, the 15th.
Yes, that's right, and everyone who's within the sound of my voice is invited to come. It's at the Rob Morris Chapel on the Jefferson Street as part of the History Center complex. Come at 11 o'clock. We're going to cut a cake there and have basically the official kickoff.
The official birthday party.
February 1st is really the day, but I did put a banner out in front of the courthouse on February 1st to sort of kick it off. But we're going to have a gathering, and everybody is welcome. So if you're listening, don't feel that you're not welcome.
And Crossroads LaGrange will be there as well.
And thank you, and we appreciate you being the official voice of Oldham County.
Yes, sir.
And well, people can hear about the bicentennial events here, and I hope I don't know if you go portable or not, but
yes, we can broadcast from pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, you go. Well,
thank goodness to technology.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
Well, thank you so much, County Judge. I appreciate you being here.
Well, it's my pleasure.
And we will see you and talk to you again first next month.
Thank you for having me.